Hi, and welcome back to Undefined. This time I'm super excited. My guest is a longtime jazz singer here in Israel, Daphna Levy. Welcome. It's going to be a show with a lot more music than usually we have a lot more conversation, but this time there was so much music that we had to have playing. So
yeah, I just really prefer, to let the music convey the message rather than just keep chit-chatting.
Let's talk more music. It's a good motto. So we have also some musicians. Can you introduce Elad?
This is Elad Peled.
Iran.
Eran Zilberberg.
Eran Zilberberg. So this is basically a trio that you have for a band that is quite recent, right?
We're actually a quartet.
Quartet. Okay.
Yeah. So, we also have Leon Habib on drums in the band. This is our trio format for today's show.
Nice.
And yeah, we're together. We're Daphna Levy and the ClassiCats.
ClassiCats. That's a cool, catchy name. Talking about cool and catchy. Well, catchy is you've chosen jazz. You've been singing jazz for a very, very long time now. You released an album that was called
Late Night Journey.
Late Night Journey. But you've always been on this sort of like, this is not so far away from mainstream, right? When did you sort of discover jazz? When was like jazz, when the jazz became your calling?
I can't really tell, but it was definitely when I was just a little girl. I grew up, at home listening to classical and jazz music. My siblings they're much older than me, and they used to listen to jazz and play jazz at home. So it's kind of part of my upbringing, really.
Nice.
And I really can't think of a specific point where it happened. It just was there all along. Mm-hmm. And I played different instruments, and I would sing, and I was always drawn to jazz.
Yeah. But you went to the United States and you studied actually vocals?
That's right. I studied with this renowned jazz coach, voice coach, excuse me, not jazz, who's actually a technique teacher, Seth Riggs, who's like the foremost teacher of the music industry in the States. Yes, he's in Los Angeles. He's the founder of the speech level singing method.
For those who don't know, then Seth Riggs was called in to help Stevie Wonder when he had...
and Michael Jackson.
And Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson studied with him, actually, ever since he was a child with the Jackson 5.
Wow.
And he accompanied him throughout his whole career.
Yeah. So you have like Lionel Richie, Diana Ross,
Madonna,
Michael Jackson,
everybody.
Daphna Levy. I want to take us, because we do have a lot of music to go through. I want to take us to a song. Our first clip is going to be from a song that you performed live, but it's a song that was on your album.
From my album, that's right.
Late Night Journey. And this was, I used to love this channel. It was on channel 9 here. It was a Russian channel.
Right.
And they used to have these live performances with, it's all very, very classical set. The setting is like very Russian, posh type of thing. But you had...
it's lots of fun.
But they love music, right? And they love jazz. So let's go to the first clip. What's the song called?
It's I Hear Music,
I
and
Hear
it's
Music.
an arrangement that combines I Hear Music, which is a jazz standard, with the sound of music from the musical.
Nice. Let's go. Let's see it.
I hear music, mighty fine music. The murmur of the morning goes up there. The moon man coffee right nearby. That's my favorite melody. You, my angel, phoning me. You know that I hear music, mighty fine music. And anytime I feel my world is wrong, I get me out of bed and I sing this song. Oh, the murmur of the morning breeze out there, the rattle of the movement on the stair. The singing of a snare up in the sky, the perking of the coffee right nearby. That's my favorite melody. You, my angel, you're holding me. You know that I hear music, mighty fine music. And anytime I feel my world is wrong, I get me out of bed and sing this song. The hills are alive with the sound of music, with songs they have sung for 1,000 years. My heart will beat last with the sound of music, and I'll sing. That's my favorite melody. You, my angel, you're phoning me. You know that I hear music, mighty fine music. And anytime I feel my world is wrong, I get me out of bed and sing this song.
That's very nice. It's very nice. So who were your I mean, this like really low voice, that low jazzy, you know, rough voice. Who were your icons? Who were your idols? Who did you grow up listening to?
As a matter of fact, I used to, and still am, listening to many tenor sax players. Yeah, I'd say most of my jazz idols are tenor sax
Okay, so not vocalists.
players, and those lows that you mentioned also is something I think I grabbed from the saxophone. It's the low. It's more of an airy, bluesy kind of sound. Yeah.
It's funny because I thought you were gonna say like Sarah Vaughan or Ella
Yeah,
Fitzgerald or
absolutely.
something like that, but no, like,
That's the
saxophone.
obvious, you know.
Yeah, but it's really nice that you mentioned that your idol actually are musicians.
Yeah,
more
people
than
like
vocalists.
Ben Webster
Yeah.
on tenor sax.
Because I think we'll see it also as we go along, that you're using your voice completely as an instrument. Like, okay, you have the lyrics, you have the song that you have to convey, but you've actually chosen the path of using your voice as another instrument in the band, right? I feel that's sort of a direction that you took.
Totally.
Well, I'm not even sure, if it's a direction that I ever took. It's just who I am, I guess, as a musician, as a vocalist.
Well, I think I saw this when you've played in a couple of big bands over the years, and I kind of saw this becoming more and more part of your repertoire, more and more part of your stage show. which is very interesting direction, I think. But as far as singers, I know that we share one singer in particularly that has kind of influenced you and myself, which is David Bowie, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, David Bowie was, for me, was a kind of a spiritual father. Yeah, in my teenage years. And he still, you know, up to this day, I see him as the great poet of rock and roll and a truly great musician.
Yeah.
And,
But I think one of his things was that he was not afraid to mix music. He was not afraid to take something and make something completely different. He never stuck
it seems
into
that he wasn't afraid of anything.
Yeah.
He would just, you know, was always a pioneer, you know, challenging mainstream and creating, you know, taking new paths.
But he never did jazz. And
He touched jazz,
yeah.
in many ways.
So we have you actually performing one of his songs. That's going to be our next clip. This is Life on Mars.
Life on Mars, and this is from a show that took place about a week after he passed away.
Wow.
So yeah, I was still under that influence.
All right, so let's hear that Life on Mars, Daphna Levy.
It's a god-awful small affair to the girl with the mousy hair, but her mommy is yelling no, and her daddy has told her to go. Now her friend is nowhere to be seen, so she walks through her sunken dream to the seat with the clearest view, and she's hooked to the silver screen. But the film is a saddening bore, for she's lived it 10 times or more. She could spit in the eyes of fools as they ask her to focus on sailors fighting in the dance hall. Oh man, look at those cavemen go. It's the freakiest show. Take a look at the long man beating up the wrong guy. Oh man, I wonder if he'll ever know. This is the best-selling show. Is there life on Mars? It's on America's tortured brow that Mickey Mouse has grown up a cow, and all the workers have struck for fame, 'cause Lennon is on sale again. See the mice in their million hordes, from my people to the Norfolk Broads. Rule Britannia is out of bounds, to my mom and my dog and clowns. But the film is a saddening bore, for I wrote it 10 times or more. It's about to be read again when I ask you to focus on sailors fighting in the dance hall. Oh man, look at those cavemen go. It's the freakiest show. Just take a look at the long man beating up the wrong guy. Oh man, I wonder if he'll ever know. He's in the best-selling show. Is there life on Mars? is the life on
Yeah, I watched that and I'm all emotional once again.
It's, I mean, it's an emotion. Like here, you have an emotional connection, but you still feel that it's how can I explain it? It's funny to see your hands on the microphone as if you're playing a trumpet. And
I guess you could say my subtext is always playing, you know, that sax, that invisible saxophone.
Invisible saxophone. So if you had gone back now as a kid, would you have started playing saxophone?
I did.
You did?
Actually.
Okay.
I took the alto sax. I studied for a year. Once again, following David Bowie.
Okay.
And then I studied the upright bass, which is, I mean, one of the coolest instruments, you know, that exist. It's great for both classical music and jazz, and it's just really, you know, I could just totally see myself, you know, going like this really cool cat, you know, with the upright bass. And I played for 3 years. At the time, I went to Palma Yellin High School of the Arts, and I played in different symphonic bands, even on a U.S. tour,
Nice.
a two-month tour in the States. And then when I got back from that tour and actually graduated from high school, I went to my teacher, Teddy, and asked him, you know, how he saw my future as an upright bassist. And Teddy answered my question, and I've been a singer ever since.
Teddy, you killed her upright bass dream. Shame on you. Well, actually, no, because we actually got a great singer. So. And
we've got. I mean, I was so lucky, you know, to quit because, obviously it wasn't my calling, and
it's hard to drag this thing around, right? It's a lot easier.
Yeah, it's a good workout, though.
It's a good. That's true.
That I remember.
But
however, you know, in my band, the ClassiCats, we've got Eran Zilberberg, who is a truly, you know, great bassist, a true professional. So I'm kind of, you know,
You're good.
I'm good.
You're good.
That's right. That settles it.
I want to show another clip that talking about using your voice as an instrument. This is pictures from
Picture.
And this is actually you guys as a band.
That's right.
And describe what we're going to see now. This is
our band, Daphna Levy and the ClassiCats, appeared at the Tel Aviv Jazz Festival last December, and we featured on our show a great Israeli musician, an Israeli legend, Yitzhak Lepta, and this is his composition.
nice
Pictures.
Combined
with Bach.
Combined with Bach. All right, this is interesting. Let's see. Okay.
Actually, what we do, the ClassiCats thing, is a crossover of jazz and classical music and other genres that we kind of intertwine in between.
Nice. All right, let's hear it.
Thank you.
Nice. And we can see your website there on the bottom. So
Mhm.
that's if anybody wants to get a hold of you and wants to hire you for
You're most
a
welcome.
gig. But this was definitely one of the finest examples of you just letting go and becoming an instrument. Like where you see your fingers moving and you
That's
know
right.
playing.
Yeah, you know, it's something I'm not even aware of while I'm on stage. I just, you know, actually, I'd say I'm not even aware of anything while I'm on stage singing. It's just there.
So
I don't know what I'm doing. It just gets done somehow.
Nice. So it's actually almost like a meditation. Like
It is.
Yeah.
Very,
She
very.
hears everything.
She hears everything. From the musician's point of view, she's in control.
Yeah.
She knows what goes. Well,
Everything.
It's very much like meditation, as a matter of fact. Jazz and meditation have a lot in common.
it's an interesting point.
It's that path that is created while you're walking it.
Hmm. I think one of the things that is this focus that you need to have, because on one hand you have to let go, you have to just let things happen, but you also have to be super concentrating because things can change in a minute. Like one musician might do something that you want to pick up on.
Yeah, it's I'd say that's my nature. It isn't hard for me to focus.
Mhm.
It's easy for me to focus on one thing, on the present moment,
Harder to let go.
on the now. Harder to let go. Yeah,
Harder
letting
to-
go is a whole other story. But yeah, that focus, of course, is important.
But I love the way you've sort of always done this. You've always mixed styles, like this Middle Eastern, Mediterranean music with classical, with jazz. In the first clip that we saw, when I hear
Well,
music with
That's a new thing
the
for the Middle Eastern.
Middle Eastern thing.
Yeah,
But I
that we're going to be hearing with the ClassiCats.
yeah, but you like what we had when I hear music, and all of a sudden you get Sound of Music going out in there,
Right.
or the last clip where all of a sudden you have you said Bach, right?
Uh-huh.
And then this like mix of music is always
See,
fun.
I love classical music. It's really it inspires me a lot.
Okay.
And when we first started with the ClassiCats, we began just arranging jazz standards and original songs along with classical pieces, iconic classical pieces, I'd say. And then as we went along, other ideas came to mind. And so, yeah, some of it was Middle Eastern, and then a Jewish, theme, and
We are feeding each other with our passions, each one in his own,
Right.
in its own,
Nice.
and gets together.
that's what the
Nice.
band is about, really. Each one as an individual musician, has their inner world, and when we meet and we play together, all that content, is
Exploding
It's-
out into the
yeah.
universe. So what's the first piece that you guys are going to play?
this is Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata.
Okay.
And this unique arrangement combines it with a Billie Holiday song, a
Okay.
bluesy song, Lover Man.
Let's hear it.
So I call it Lover Man on Moonlight Sonata, or Lover Man to the sound of Moonlight Sonata. I don't know why, but I'm feeling so sad. I long to try something I've never had. Never had no kissing the night is cold and I'm so all alone. I would give my soul just to call you my own. I got a moon above me, but there's no one to love me. Lover man, oh where can you be? Oh, where can you be? Lover man, oh where can you be? I have been oh so lonely through the nights, through the days, wondering where you might be. Do-wee, do-wee, do-dee, do-dee, do-dee. Wee, fwa-ba-bom. Fwa-ba-fu-ba-bu-bo-bay. Swa-ba-ba-do-dee. Fwa-ba-do-dee-day-ah. Wee, sta-ba-dee-fu-ba-bo. Yo-bo-vee-ba-bo-bay-ah. My soul just to call you my own. I got a moon above me, yet there's no one to love me. Lover man, oh where can you be?
Wow. It sort of feels like it should be in this like dingy bar in New York, but then on the other hand, it should be on a stage with like, you know, a symphony behind it. Very, very nice. So
yeah, these are, you know, this is really the unique sound of the ClassiCats.
Mhm.
With Elad, who's a strong classical pianist, and he's, I'd say, yeah, you're the inspiration.
Me? Okay.
Yeah.
It's you.
we all inspire each other.
That's right.
I'd say, yeah, definitely.
Totally.
So how are you guys now? You're recording, or are you working on something that will be released anytime soon, or how's it?
We're just about to begin that process. Yeah, recording, doing some video clips.
Nice.
And we're constantly working on new material, new arrangements for our upcoming concerts. We have quite a few, I'm happy to say.
Wow, yeah. I can imagine this is, it feels like it should be easy to move around as well. It could connect to so many different people.
Yeah, it's really, it seems, you know, people have this image of what jazz is. And a lot of times people will, you know, ask us, oh, what do you play? Oh, it's jazz. It's a jazz concert. And they're like, oh, jazz, it's too complicated. We don't like that kind of music because it's just, you know, something that they probably, what they have in mind is like modern jazz or free jazz, which is so far from what we do. And more often than not, on our concerts, I mean, when we're done, when the show is done, people come up to us and they say, "Oh, that's jazz!" You know, we loved it, and it's so, you know, they just love. They recognize most of the songs and the classical pieces, and so yeah, that's the kind of jazz that we do.
Yeah. That's jazz as well, because jazz has gotten, it's really taken so many turns.
And with this classical crossover, it's really, you know, it speaks to many people. You don't have to be a jazz enthusiast in order to enjoy our music.
Yeah, but you're, I guess this would be, how would you record this? Like, would you stay as a quartet, or are you bringing in other musicians, or do you have already a sort of a vision of what you want the sound to be like?
We're not sure yet. What do you say, guys?
I think we are going to bring some guests. Some guests. I'm sure of that. Like tenor sax, like you love them so much. So
yeah, absolutely. A sax player. And since we've gotten into, you know, also Middle Eastern music and Jewish music, we'll probably have guests from, you know, who come from those musical worlds.
Nice. Well, I have Daniel Hoffman, who was here on my show. He's a violinist that plays klezmer music. I would definitely connect you guys. I think that would be another interesting mix to this.
Yeah.
So you're mentioning Middle Eastern music or Mediterranean music. Oh, do you have an example of this that do you want to play for us?
Yes, we do. We're kind of saving it for the end, but
so let's save it for the end. Okay.
Let's do it now, though. I mean, whatever. It's you know,
I just ruined the whole like
you know,
order
it's
of things.
That path that is being
the path is being created as we go.
As we walk. No problem.
Just loved her so. Since that day they would drift away, nothing in their way. All is said and done to our one. Oh, just see her now, no more a single swan, so lonely in the lake.
Once upon a time, there was a swan so lonely in the lake. Her neck upright, she had all that grace and pride and charm, so lonely in the lake. And then one moment she looked up and a swan came by who just loved her so. Since that day they would drift away, nothing in their way, all is said and done to our one. Oh, just see her now, no more a single swan, so lonely in the lake. So lonely in the lake.
That was a surprise.
By the way, in case someone hasn't, recognized the piece, it's the theme from Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake.
I think most people will recognize that, but the Middle Eastern influence is from which part of the Middle East? Where this specific?
A song called "Shubchi Yerushalayim" by Amiram Medina.
Okay, so
like a Mediterranean theme.
nice. So that's from here. That's not Egyptian music. It's
an Israeli composition, Israeli original. It made a lot of גלגולים,
a lot of reincarnations.
Yes, reincarnations. And it got here also.
Nice,
Plus.
very nice. That's another good combination of music. And how did you get to this? How did you find that?
Oh, once again, my love for classical music, my love for, these guys playing, and also all three musicians in our band, Elad, Eran, and Leon, have substantial Middle Eastern Mediterranean music background. So otherwise I wouldn't, I would have not been able to create something like this, because in a normal jazz setting, I wouldn't have anyone there, who would be able to play this kind of material. So at first, I took that challenge and I wrote lyrics to the Tchaikovsky theme. And then I brought it to the band and I said, guys, what I have in mind is kind of a Mediterranean groove. I wasn't even sure how, what it would sound like.
She insisted on Mediterranean.
I did. But to me it was just like a general notion, but you guys knew what to do with it, how to handle it, and how to bring it, into being.
So I love that.
Leon, by the way, who's not here with us today, our drummer is from Turkey. He was brought up in Istanbul, Turkey. So he's a real, expert at Mediterranean grooves.
As a musician, it's always so nice to be able to just come to your, as a singer, to come to your musicians and just say, okay, I have a blues and I want it to be on an Egyptian orchestra, and they'll do it. It's so nice to have that.
Well, in this instance, perhaps I did a little more. I think I wrote out a chart of the harmony,
nice.
of the chords, and so that they could, get an idea of what I wanted to be like. And but then, from then on, we just, we create together.
Yeah. But to be actually to have that openness to be able to say, okay, I know it sounds crazy, but let's try to do this, and then people actually come along and create. A lot of people are very restricted in their styles.
Absolutely, and I think what really, what facilitates, this creation is that open-mindedness of each person, of each musician in the band, that everything and anything is possible.
It's nice. I remember actually studying with you, and it was my first look into the world of jazz, because I'd never actually sung anything jazzy before. And you opened up the door with, you know, we were doing standards, and for me, I knew I didn't want to be restricted. I wanted to be able to do anything, and I thought that was so refreshing to come and because I'd been singing classical before, and just to get this, first of all, technical. Different look of things, because classical I couldn't connect.
A non-classical approach.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, but to have that also come into from a completely different angle of the jazz. I'd like us to maybe now is the time to do a song together. If you,
I'd love that.
Yeah, it's. I think the first song that you gave me that was a jazz song to learn. And I think we actually performed it together on stage once. So
which might have been over a decade ago.
Long time ago. I haven't sung it since, but, so let's give it a shot.
Your looks are laughable, unphotographable, yet
you're my favorite work of art,
and you're mine.
Is your figure less than green?
Is your mouth a little weak
When you open it to speak, are you smart?
but don't you change a hair for me. No, 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 not if you care for me.
Stay, little Valentine, stay.
It is Valentine's Day. Valentine's, Valentine's.
We should, thank you. We should do that more. That was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun.
That's so fun. Yeah.
I remember singing this on the stage. I was extremely self-conscious. I think it was like my first time singing jazz on stage, and it's so much fun.
Yeah.
It's definitely so
You know,
much fun.
while we were singing, I was kind of thinking that this versatility that we're talking about and these crossovers, and it's also one of your characteristics, because you do so many different things, and it's all, different types of arts.
Yeah.
And
You're actually a jazz man.
Deep down in jazz, I'm like the lost jazz man.
You sing and you write and you compose and you play the guitar and you paint and you do martial arts.
Well, that's part of the reason why the show is called Undefined, right? In the end, we are.
Who is he really?
Who am I? I think it's part of the search. I think in this, especially in this modern societies that we both live in, we look for definitions. We look for a way to say, no, I'm a singer, or I'm a accountant, I am a something. And I think we're lucky enough to live in a period where you can touch a lot of different things, and a lot of different, you can have a lot of interest, and because everything is so available, you can get quite good at a lot of things with a certain amount of concentration and effort, as long as you have a passion for it.
Still, it isn't very common. You have to have all these talents, and you have to have so much, just will, and you have to be really serious about each field. Yeah.
Well, I feel like, say if I compare myself in a sense, I feel when it comes to jazz and singing, I feel that you've sort of gone into mastery. And for me, it was always I became like a jack of all trades. I don't feel I've mastered anything. I'm very happy with what I've reached, because I'm able to have such a wide perspective of things. But I think there's also a difference of really going in and mastering a craft. Which sometimes, I feel a certain amount of jealousy of people that manage to stay with one thing long enough to actually master it. I think it's a certain type of temper that is needed to stay with one thing for so long, which is commendable. I don't know. Now we're talking about we went off to a different type of world, but
it's a whole commitment.
Yeah.
To your path.
Yeah. I see that, talking about musicians that you work with, and talking about singers, composers, I feel that commitment is very, very strong. They've been doing the same thing since they were young, and spend all those hours practicing. And again, it's nice to see it not become also one track. Where you study, but you study one style. You do, when you can actually become a master and then open up into different fields. I think this is one of the things that impresses me, basically.
Yeah, well, I'd say I've always been a jazz singer, and it's really who I am, what I am. And therefore, through arrangements, crossovers, that's my way to meet other genres, other styles, other worlds. of music, because otherwise, because what I sing, let's be honest, is always jazz.
It's always jazz.
It doesn't matter
That's the base.
what the context is. What I sing, even if I try to do something else, it'll come out as jazz.
Yeah. No, for sure. That it's part of your main language. It's sort of like the accent that you'll bring to any language that but you've not only done jazz. You've also studied other things in other fields, like non-musical fields.
Yeah, that's true.
What did you study?
I studied philosophy
Okay.
at Tel Aviv University, and my master's is in Far Eastern philosophy.
Okay.
Which I guess is another realm where we kind of meet.
Yeah, I mean, with the yoga and the martial arts.
With your yoga,
yeah.
martial arts, and I also teach meditation.
Okay.
So yeah, I was really drawn to this, the Eastern way of thought, and after studying, becoming familiar with different schools of thought in Eastern philosophy, my approach is kind of combining theory and practice.
Okay. Which style of meditation do you teach?
Many different techniques.
Okay.
I also have a course that I give to performers, to performing artists, with really a large number of different techniques, because what I've realized throughout the years is that each individual will adopt a different technique. So I'd like to have many different techniques available to people so they can choose what's best for them.
Yeah. I guess it's for a performer, it's a great way to calm yourself before you go on stage.
To calm yourself, to become focused.
Yeah.
And also, this presence of the now, the present moment of the here and now, is crucial, I believe, to really being able to communicate with the other musicians in the group. And so that's something I always emphasize.
You also, I remember you told me something, that you became a good singer when you started studying acting.
That's also true. It was also, yeah. Well, we talked earlier about this, challenge of letting go.
Yeah.
As I'm a Capricorn.
Yeah.
We have a hard time letting go. We like to
control.
We like control, and so yeah, acting has been very helpful in that way.
I had a little bit of the same experience with acting, but not in that sense. More about what you said about being in the here and now, but also my connection to text, to lyrics. Like when you perform a song, to start looking at it as a full play or a theater, that you basically, every word has to count. Every word has to have a certain meaning. You can't just gloss over it and use them as notes. But then
with you as the protagonist.
With you as a protagonist. But then you have to find a balance between actually what we talked about before, being the instrument, but also being the storyteller. So that was one of the interesting things that, like, when I started, I think I had like a couple of months when I was intensively studying acting, and I became a bad performer because every time I was on stage I was trying out something new, and it would maybe work and be great, but I didn't know what I was doing, so I would double back and then do something else that tried to go there, and it would be a disaster, and it was like a little bit of a
but there's always, that's a process. It's an endless process of always, some kind of trial and error.
For sure.
For us performers.
For sure. But I think in the end, going through that, I found something on stage that I hold on to, and for me it works.
To me, I'd say the most important thing while on stage is feeling connected. Connected definitely to the musicians who are with me on the stage. And in that sense, I'd say what we do is not far from chamber music in terms of approach. And obviously being connected to the audience.
Yeah. Well, the audience is that's like for me, the audience is always the cherry on the top. Like when you've made this, beautiful cake, you've arranged everything, and then boom, you have the connection that you get when an audience responds to your music. And it's like, okay, that's just the sweet.
Yeah. And I'm a cake lover.
So, what? I don't know how much time we have. We're getting close to the end. This goes so fast. But you have another piece that you want to play?
Yeah, our final piece features Iran on bass. It's Autumn Leaves.
Autumn Leaves. Let's go out. Let's go out with classical jazz.
The falling leaves drift by my window, autumn leaves of red and of gold. I see your lips, those summer kisses, those sunburned hands I used to hold. Since you went away, the days grow long. But I miss you most of all, my darling. When autumn leaves start to fall. The falling leaves drift by my window, autumn leaves of red and gold. I see your lips, the summer kisses, those sunburned hands I used to hold. Since you went away, the days grow so long. Soon I'll hear all winter song, but I miss you most of all. I miss you most of all, my darling. When autumn leaves start to fall, My darling, since you went away, the days grow so long, and soon I'll hear old winter song. But I miss you most of all. I miss you, my darling, when autumn leaves start to fall. Autumn leaves start to fall. When autumn leaves start to
Wow, thank you guys. Thank you guys. We're at the end of our time here. Thank you, Daphna Levy.
Thank you, Amiram.
Just before we go, let's say it again. The website is
Daphna Levy Jazz, and it has a ClassiCats section as well.
Okay, so go to Daphna Levy Jazz and get your jazz on. And thank you guys for being here. This was another show, Undefined. We'll be back next week. Thank you.